There we go. Oh, theme song. Obviously. I'm a retard. I should have had this prepared. Computer, what are you doing? I want to play my theme song. How dare you? Oh, Purely Living Man. Welcome back. There's the computer. Dude, that's what I get my computer to play. It's like Sam, welcome, Ward Bear, welcome, brother man.
Okay, Warbear said we're gonna judge the angels. Man, mere man can't judge angels. Angels judge angels, my brother. It's like if this is like the, let's say
Does
this.
not the Bible say that we will be judges over angels?
Yes, because we are the angels. It's only when you get readopted back into the Father. Look, we are turned up because we were caught in a snare. What happens when you're caught in a snare? Think. So then up is down, right is left. So this is why everything's upside down. And
given that line of logic, the Bible tells us that mankind is made in the image of God, and there's a specific distinction between us and the angels. So the Bible also says that after like the times that we're currently living in, that we will no longer be given unto marriage, similar to the angels. So because of those Bible verses that say that we're like the judge of the angels, that we're going to be eventually similar to the angels, but there's nothing that says that we are of the angels. Thoughts?
Bro, it says we're gods. It says we're Elohim.
Lowercase g gods, yeah.
No. What does it say? I think it was in John, the Gospel of John, when they were accusing him of him saying that he was God. And he goes, don't your own scriptures say it, idiots?
Yeah, that's a reference to Psalms, but it's lowercase g gods. And that's in reference to man being made in the image of God, in the image of Elohim himself.
I find that to be a fatal flaw. A fatal flaw. Because look, if you think you're just made in the image of God, and then you're just this being in here, you don't have any light or spirit in you. I mean, where do you think that light comes from? What is light? Light is God.
Well, if we're made in the image of God, why would we not have an inner light coming from God?
But then you're saying, okay, it's like scary to say, it's almost blasphemous. There's a fear to say if I'm an angel or if I was a fallen God, that I was so rebellious.
Well, Gorilla, welcome. So, like, I'm not saying this from a position of fear. It's from my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
but yeah, like this is a really fun conversation. But from my opinion,
by the way, I love it, and I can argue either position because to me,
great, good to hear, brother. So, from my opinion, my position is we're made in the image of God, and as being made in the image of God, having that like we are like basically a mirror to the eternal light of God. Like we are put in a position above the angels.
Very confused.
And so like when you're saying stuff like oh, we're angels, it's like why would you demean yourself and just like be a little angel? Like we were made in the image of God. Like I don't understand how we're above the angels quite yet because I am in this like first like derivative of life. But according to the Bible, because of the fact that we're made in the image of God, apparently somehow magically we are above the angels. And I don't know what that means, but I'm curious to find out.
I know, but so made in the image of God, you got to get back to my flashlight analogy. Okay, so Elohim translate as angels. So when you say angels, I say Elohim. Elohim is in Genesis 1. I could go get it and read it. Genesis 1 said God did this. On the second day, God did this. And God said this. That is Elohim. Okay, so that is
so then
expressions of light.
I'm familiar with that perspective.
So this is why we're up and down. When we come down here, one of our eyes is turned down. This is why people do this wink. This is why they close their freaking eye and they stick their tongue out all the time because the spirit's in them that's turned upside down. When I re-accept and get readopted from my Lord, Savior, God, who is truth and I remember, I get turned up and I could see. God blinds everybody else who lives in shame and feeds their own ego and pretends they're a God in the flesh. That's a total bad, bad, bad thing to do. I'm a God in spirit trapped in flesh, brother. This is why I could escape all this shit. And this is why this flesh laws do not apply to me. And if I just believe, oh, I'm trying to impress God so he'll be perfect, it doesn't work that way. The truth of it, Psalm 82:6 says, ye are all gods, but you shall die like men.
So, given that perspective, what would you say is the main difference between you and Father God, the Creator?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, I'm a dumb fuck who wanted to be kind of God because I fell and took the bait with Lucifer. So I'm rebellious, you're rebellious, and we came down and we're trapped in flesh doing this damn thing over and over and over again, learning. Okay? And so when you finally surrender, you know, it's like sometimes if you have the shittiest life, you have the most love of God, because it's only when you're rock bottom and Babylon has abandoned you, you're like, what the hell do I got left? Then you start to see the truth and you start to commune with the very basics in nature, with the water, with sunlight, with the wind. You start to realize that everything's interconnected and everything affects one or the other, and that you know that God honors and loves balance and harmony between the positive, the negative, the male and the female. So when God created everything in his image, everything's alchemetically works the same. It takes two, and then two become what? Two, sometimes 6, 7, 8. How does that mathematically work? That's the alchemy. It's creation. And the rules and the laws were set down by God. So when we created in his image, it was his image of order, his image of creation, his image of free will. So in order to have all those choices, you have to be able to deny it. In order to there be truth, there has to be something that isn't true.
Well, so thus far in what you've been saying, you have yet to define the specific difference between us as biblically defined as lowercase g gods versus God the Father. Like what you're saying, like a lot of what you're saying is very true in a variety of ways. But that being said, is a lot of what you're saying when taken out of context with God the Father, that's a lot of like I guess not the best vibes.
So you
And so
think
that's why I know you have the best intentions, and so that's why I wanted to clarify.
Okay, first of all, I'm a diehard Christian.
Of course.
So I'm a conduit of God. So I think most Christians are pussies. So just know,
Agreed.
no way I would even be stepping foot into a hypocritical Christian church who wears masks and they're too scared to meet together. So my God my God the Father is a father entity because it's a father of truth and knowledge and logic. Everything has reason. God is exposing mysteries to me constantly because he's the God of truth and reason, not chaos. So it's a masculine term we use. But God is not limited to a deity. He's not a being. If you see God as a person,
Wait. Pause real quick.
Yeah.
So if God is not a being, what is God?
God is
That goes back to your previous point where you were saying that God is just truth.
Well,
But
it's like
if God is just
Christ,
this ambiguous like aspect of truth,
it's not
then where does
ambiguous. Look,
consciousness come from?
look at the spell. Look at the spell that you're in. I'm going to help you with this, exposing it. When you say
Please do.
well, this is just when you say just truth. Hear the word just in front of it. That means there's a preconceived thinking, like you're lowering God to just truth. What is truth, JapJap?
No, by saying just truth, I'm elevating God above like the aspect of truth. While truth is very important to all of us and truth comes from Father God, that
Truth.
doesn't necessarily mean that Father God is just truth. Like, Father God is beyond just truth. He's beyond just time. God is, even though God created time, he's not just
Okay.
time.
This
That's
is
where I'm coming from.
yeah, but we're getting caught in witchcraft English language. Okay, so when I say truth, I mean logos. When I say logos, I mean manifest. That is manifest, that which is real. Okay, and so all that is manifest and all that is and real is an expression of God, because he's the Alpha, he's the Omega. He's not limited to anything. He is the expression of all that is natural and all that is real. Now, God isn't this. Now God's thoughts and concepts could be in here. God isn't this phone. That's all Lucifer's territory. That's Babylon. That's when he says, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. He's speaking of the artificial world. He's outside of time. He's outside of matter. But all matter is an expression of God. Without his vibration, his love, to create that vibration, and it ain't nothing. So that's why I was saying, even when I say that we are Elohim, it is not the Lord Elohim, God, the source light. We are mere expressions. And so when we say we're going to judge angels, the only people judging angels are those who've been turned back up and now have the eyes to see. If you don't have the eyes to see, you got to check your house and clean it, because I didn't have the eyes to see until I was in my 30s.
Well, so you mentioned the topic eyes to see. I'm just going to go on that just because it's the easiest one. Because I've got many questions, but the easiest question I've got for eyes to see is a really good one. So a lot of the shit you're saying, it on the surface level, it sounds like good to go, like for sure. But when I apply my own like biblical like readings and spiritual experiences, what you're saying sounds very close to the truth, but not quite the truth.
Give it to me, buddy.
So like for example, when people say like God is love.
Yes.
God created the concept of love just like God created the concept of hate in him doing like making all of creation. And just
so God
because
created hate. Wait, I gotta get this. God created hate too?
Well, yeah, because God is creator of the universe. If God did not create the ability for us to hate, then that would not exist. And like it's not that like there's a biblical I think it's in Romans where it talks about this, where like just because God the law is so the law tells defines sin for us. But does that make the law sinful? No, far be it. Just because Christ himself is the fulfillment of the law and forgives our transgressions of the law, and the more we transgress, the more it shows how much Jesus Christ loves us. Does that mean, by that logic, we should then transgress all the more to then thus show the love of Christ the more? No. Paul says, far be it. The exact opposite. So while these things are like truths, that does not so just because the law exists and just because the law shows us that like where the line is, and because we're aware of the love and forgiveness of Jesus Christ and his sacrifice, that doesn't mean that we should transgress the law in order to glorify the sacrifice of Jesus Christ all the more.
JapJap, have you read the Four Agreements? It's not a Bible, but it's
an AA bullshit. AA is a satanic belief system.
No, the Toltec Indians. I'm talking about. There's one thing in there. It says that don't make assumptions, right? So like I'll say something that'll be kind of shattering, and it's kind of whoa, and then all the assumptions get thrown on it. So what I'm trying to say is that that's not a way to get to truth. So a direct question or a very specific, but if you throw something on like saying, yeah, but if you do this, or does that give you permission to sin? Hell no. Listen, the only way light doesn't fully shine in me is because I still have some sin in me. So I'm in a process of purification and purging all sin. I actually did a prayer that I want to finish strong because I think this could be the end times. And by the way, someone asked, do I think space is real? Hell no, it's not real. It's so stupid. I've been teaching for 30 years and I hate teaching on the textbooks. It's a joke. So I go back and constantly do primary stuff and it's mind blowing. So I always I laugh at it with the kids and I show them all the videos of NASA saying, oh, we lost all that information and it's too hard to rebuild it. And then we can't get through the Van Allen belt and all that stuff. But AA is not a religious organization. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
In your opinion,
Yeah.
according to the native beliefs, what are the four agreements?
Okay, so the four agreements are beautiful, and it's what I do. I do anytime I gather with the tribe. If I was going to get with bears, I would do it also. Because truth is truth. I ain't attaching it to any being, okay? Except God, because I said God is truth. So the first thing is be impeccable with your word. That means you can never lie. Never, 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 never lie. I never even told my kids about the Tooth Fairy, Easter Bunny, Santa, any of that bullshit. Why would I lie to them? God is good enough. Everything that's real. I don't have to make up some elf on the fucking shelf to make them think life is great. Talk to my kids, their birthday and stuff coming up, and grandma, who lives in Laguna Niguel, is going, "What do you guys want?" And they're like, "Nothing. I got everything."
All
And
right, so point one is don't fucking lie.
don't
What
lie.
is
Second,
what is the repercussion? What is
don't.
the negative aspect if you do lie?
Okay, lying is the antithesis of truth. My God is truth. So when I lie, I'm serving Satan, the antithesis of God. You got it? I'm serving myself. I don't want to face reality. I don't want to face suffering. So I go, you know what? JapJap's hurting my feelings. I'm going to get off of this. And Lucifer goes to me, yes, child. You just keep agreeing with me. I feel nobody likes me. Maybe I'm a woman. Maybe I'm female. Yes, child, you
Well,
are.
so like abstractly, what you're saying makes a
I'm
lot of
fine.
sense. But in terms of concrete, like I do this, I lied in this way, then I lie X
Tell me,
when
tell
Y
me one
happens.
for
Are
lie.
there examples of that, or is it not that concrete in your opinion?
Give me one justification for a lie. One.
Well, shame. I'm
So
not saying it's a correct
that's
justification.
called,
I'm
then
just saying that's the most common justification for people lying. Is
that,
they're shameful, they're too shameful to tell the truth, and thus they tell a lie.
what do you think
So,
that, that's
well,
shame.
yeah. So,
That's
like,
shame.
let's use that. Let's use that. So, not the mask, but shame.
That's shame.
So, let's say that I did something against you that was dishonorable, and then you asked me point blank, "Did you do this?" And due to my own guilt, my own shame, I lied to you, and I
You,
told you, "No, I didn't do this."
you
What
further
would be the repercussions?
you further your bond with Lucifer and Satan. You're giving more to Lucifer and Satan. That's all you're doing. You're turning more away from God by lying because of your shame. And then you're going to spiral. Then you're going to go and masturbate and squirt. And then you're going to lie about that and you're going to spiral. And then you're going to go, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to do it till the weekend. Yeah, it's just, listen, when you are not impeccable with your word, no lying, zero. When you lie at all and give yourself any permission, you allow a little piece of shit into you. It's like I tell my students when they eat all their stupid Takis and stuff, I go, dude, this is the temple. You are a righteous angel, and you're putting this stuff and disrespecting the vehicle that carries you through this life. You're disgusting. They're like, oh, it tastes good, Warhol. I bring in brownies. And you guys probably heard this
Well,
one. This guy,
so
right?
given that perspective, let's say that someone watches CNN and they think that the God Emperor Trunk, Orange Man, is super bad. This is just a super obvious example, and they're like, "Oh, Trunk is a super racist." Like, that's just an example, but that example is being said. It's like, all right, what if you honestly believe in a lie? Then what are the negative repercussions for
Okay,
you to
you're serving
honestly
Satan.
believe and perpetuate a lie according to what
That's
you're saying?
right. You're unconsciously serving Satan. And you will
So
be held
what's the
accountable.
repercussion of that?
The repercussions is that you'll be held accountable. Let me tell you this, JapJap, before I was walking in truth, I thought I knew a lot of truth in here, but until you walk in it, it's all theory. I gave a lot of people advice that was shit advice. There's a price
So
to
does
pay for
that
it.
mean that babies go to hell?
Listen, only people who go to hell condemn themselves to hell. It's a
Well, so like what you're saying right now is that like if I am unaware of the lie that I'm currently subscribing to, I will then like when I am like bending my knee to Jesus Christ
you're
at
still held.
like then I will be held accountable for that lie despite the fact I am unaware of why I subscribe to the lie. That being
Absolutely.
said,
But
is when we apply that same concept to babies who have basically no conceptual awareness, and are very susceptible to a variety of lies, how would then, according to your opinion, how would like babies or young children who are believers of lies be held
Babies,
accountable?
babies are guilty just as much as you and I are guilty. Because remember, my theory is that we are flesh suits, we are fallen. And when that spark of life occurred, when the zygote formed, that light came, like I said, from somewhere. So as soon as you enter this world, you're rebellious. You've already been disobedient to God, and now you've been brought into the material. You're guilty, period. And you got one part turned up because God breathed the soul. That's our trick. And he said, Jesus Christ. By the way, Jesus Christ isn't really his son. I mean, it's technically his son, but we're all
That's
brothers.
the point. We need to stop. Jesus Christ is not God's son.
Not the way you think it. We're all sons and daughters of God. So listen.
Explain that a little bit to me more, because that seems like a red flag. So I understand I'm coming from a churchian, growing up in perspective,
Yes.
but from that fucking retarded point, please educate me.
John 3:16, right? His
For
only
God so loved the world, he created his only begotten son, like blah, blah.
begotten. Etymology, Mr. Etymology Man. What does begotten mean?
I've never looked into begotten specifically. Are you going to save me the search, or am I going to fucking look it up myself?
That's good, brother. Don't just think it. So look it up in Strong's and put in the word begotten, so you can see in the Bible when it says that, John 3:16 over and over and over again, everybody says it, and yet they don't even really know what it means.
To get or to obtain by effort.
Keep going. Are you looking at etymology or are you looking at definitions?
I'm looking at etymology. Apparently, this is a very shallow causality.
Look where it talks about monozygote, the single, meaning it's really translated the one and only, the monogene. It's a monogene. You know when you say the one and one, or the goat, that's the mockery. The goat, greatest of all time. So listen, when you say the only begotten son, it means there's only one. Okay, and let me tell you, there was only one. He's the only one of a kind. And let me tell you why. It is Lord Elohim, the God of all truth, that put himself down into a flesh suit, brother. He came down as Jesus Christ, trapped in this realm, so that he could get his children back. Do you have kids, JapJap?
So you're saying that we are not brothers and sisters of Christ, but
No, we're the sons and daughters of Christ, and we're brothers and sisters.
Why does the Bible say differently?
What do you say?
The Bible says that we're sons and daughters of God and brothers and sisters of Christ.
Okay, sons and daughters. So you're a son of God? Are you saying you're Jesus?
Of course not. I'm not Jesus.
You just said we're sons and daughters of God. And John 3:16 says what? He's the only begotten son. I'm just saying that we are angels. We're Elohim. We are like the I, part of the I am. We're an expression of God. But we are trapped in this dome, in this system that we created, that has the alchemical God principles that we had in spirit that is manifesting now in flesh. Okay?
So you're not having any sort of disagreement, like Jesus is the Son of God, the only begotten Son of God?
Jesus is actually Lord Elohim in flesh. This is where it gets confused. So when you talk about Trinity, this is a great one. BB gets confused on this one. So let's talk about the Lord of all, limited to nothing. Then, because his stupid angel children fall down because Lucifer impregnates Eve with Cain and makes a pathway for us to get in here. And now you have a dual system, and now we're turned upside down.
Oh, that's where you're coming from.
Then you got your Canaanites, and
you have a perverted understanding of the Bible.
Oh, we shall see. Let me tell you what, we're judged by our fruits. So I love this. So if your life and understanding of the Bible manifest into more truth and abundance of what God calls wealth, then I need to listen to you. Let's see if you say the same to me.
Well, see, according to the book of Job and the triggered nature you're already describing, or displaying, excuse me.
Everybody's already gone through the book of Job.
Well,
What,
you can read the book all you want, but
what
you
is,
don't understand what I'm saying.
oh, that the book of Job is what?
So right now, you're claiming that because the fruits of your life are going to be, in your opinion, greater than the fruits of my life, that means I should listen to you.
No, I
And
said you're judged by your fruits. Do you agree? Yes or no?
I'm
Yes.
not going to answer because you're using the Bible as a weapon right now. And
Dude,
that's
The
despicable.
Bible is just truth, man. Truth is a
All right,
weapon. Like,
dude.
look at if I held up the
I'm done with the special boy. Like, we all dealt with that kind of person, not too long ago with who was that? That Nathan Bible dude, whatever the fuck. I really enjoy Purely Living Man, but right now, like the way he's talking about is just like circuitous and non-biblical, and I don't have the energy to argue against that. Like he's a good guy, he believes in Jesus. I assume he's saved. Like great, great, great. It's just like I don't want to Bible argue right now. Cause like Trainer Bear, welcome, welcome. Yeah, Trainer Bear, how did I fucking do? Trainer Bear, I respect the hell out of you. So like, how did I like do in like responding?
Yeah.
Because I feel like I was firm, but like not like just descending into like theological madness.
Well, that's what we love about JapJap Bear. I mean, maybe you'll wake up tomorrow and be like, maybe I shouldn't have hung up on Purely Living Man. But what I love about you, because I'm an agreeable. It's weird to say I'm an agreeable person because most people would say that's not true. But in conversation, like you have an ability to sort of add tension to a conversation in a way that is friendly and well, obviously you hung up on him, but you know, like you're able to do that well. Oh, you know what? You know, he was talking about you could tell a tree by its fruit, and I, who uses that phrase a lot? Grant Cardone. Do you know who Grant Cardone is?
I do not.
Okay, I'm sure some people in the chat know who Grant Cardone is. Grant Cardone, and I listened to him for a while, especially when I was first getting into business. He's like a business influencer. And you know, at first I was getting into sales, and he's a sales expert guy. And but after a while, he has all the looks of a leprechaun and a grappler, right? Like he's a Scientologist. You know, he's got his own jet. You know, he's probably and his whole thing is you can tell a tree by its fruit. It's like don't listen to anybody else. Listen to me. Look, I got a jet. Look, I got money. Look, I got this mansion. I got it. And it's like the problem with you can tell a tree by its fruit is that like who's judging and what's the time frame? Because
Yeah.
for example, with Grant Cardone, just an example, he has a plane now. He has he has all this money, all these houses. He brags about not owning property. He says rent. He says rent where you live and own what you rent or something like that. But like,
Oh, so like business fucking grabble babble. If
right,
I own a business that owns the property which I rent, and that business has all of its properties in this tax haven, then I get out of paying property taxes. Guys, grabble. This is how we save money, and this is how we become more fruitful and honor the Lord.
right. And if we and the thing is, it's like business wise, in a sense, it makes sense for a little bit until
Oh
the
yeah, like
system.
I totally understand all those business grabbles, but like so for whatever reason, so I know like I'm a little bit of a hardliner here, but when I first learned about like what paying taxes was, my mom told me like my mom is the best, most kind-hearted woman in the whole world, and like she was just being a fruitful Proverbs chapter 31 woman when she informed me of taxes. It was like, hey, if you make a donation, that's tax deductible, and it's a baby, it's a baby, And so when my mom first told me that, I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But simultaneously, like the literally from the first time I what like taxes were described to me, even at that time, I was like, oh, so that means you're technically giving less than 10% to God? Like, what does this actually mean? Like, are you like how is this like? I didn't know the word grabble at the time, but I felt like it was a grabble. Ah, Trina Bear lost connection. Bummer. He'll be back, and we'll hear his opinion. And I'm curious of his opinion and your guys' opinion. But like, while I'm very well aware that you can take tax deductions, so let's say that you make $100,000 a year and you pay 7% taxes, which obviously is super low, but we'll say 10% just to keep numbers easy. So you give $10,000 to the fucking government. Then you give another $10,000, Nick, yes, Nick, to your tithing. But once you start taking tax deductions, how does that affect your taxes? Does that same principle not also apply to your tithing? If you don't give 10% to your church and you rationalize it, oh, I may have only given $9,000 to my church this year, but I gave $1,000 to fucking charity XYZ. Do you see the complications here? Sorry, Nick, I was going on. What's up, bro?
Oh, keep going. I'm just here. I just stepped in the room.
Like, I love the passion behind all these arguments that like started with Purely Living Man, but it's like so many of these arguments are illogical, and I understand. I've been grappled many, many times myself, and I'm constantly being shown the logical fallacies of my own like bullshit beliefs all the time by trusted sources. But that being said, is once someone shows you the logical fallacy of your own beliefs, like what the fuck stops you other than pride from humbling yourself and learning something? Like, come the fuck on, man.
So I can say probably truthfully that a lot of bears got into the conservative world, let's say, from if they were not conservative before, by watching like libs getting owned, right? And,
Yeah.
And when you, and I'm this is a high compliment to you. When you start going to task with a guy that thinks that they know everything about the Bible, it's like watching Ben Shapiro rip apart a communist college student that doesn't really know what they have ideals and they believe a certain way, and it's not their fault.
Principles without proofs.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I just watched a thing on what Thomas Sowell just said, something like that too.
Kim.
But yeah, like, yeah, it's. I just sent this stream to. There she is, some of my friends, and I'm like, it's like a Bible study plus a UFC fight. And it totally is, because it's like, man, I never thought about that. And how do you just like pull out Bible verses like that? Like, you're just like, grapple, and then like, you know what I
Well,
mean?
dude, to be fair, the reason why I can pull so many Bible verses out my ass is because I was a fucking like bullshit churchian for many, many years. Like, I was like, ever since I was like a little kid, my mom took me to the Awana church group every Wednesday. I went to like all the church groups every time, and like I was like for Awana, for like just a normal like church group. My mom bribed me and my little sister. If you learn all your Bible verses, I'll take you to Arby's this week. And like because we were like, I grew up in a poor family, like going out to fast food, like that was me getting bribed because Arby's was delicious.
My wife, after you came up, we were talking about you guys. We've been talking about you guys the whole time, probably. because my wife really liked you, and she said, I really liked that thing he said when I burnt the steak. Like, where did that come? Do you remember that? Where she kind of burnt the steak a little bit?
Yeah, when Laura or when your wife burned the steak,
Yeah.
and
You
it
can
just
call her
made.
Laura.
Well, I don't want to reveal like details. Like I
Oh,
want to
it's fine.
keep
It's fine.
privacy.
It's fine.
All right, cool. So when Laura like burnt the steak and then we ate it, it added a little bit of crispy factor,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed that crispiness.
Yeah.
And so what she saw as a mistake, I was like, no, I really enjoy this. Like, good
Yeah.
on you for burning the steak.
But you had a Bible verse that went along with that. Do you remember
Oh,
that?
Romans 8:28.
Oh, there you go. Look at how crazy you are, man. And what is the verse? Because I loved it. I loved it. What's the verse?
Basically, it says, I'm not gonna fucking paraphrase.
Okay. Now
Romans 8.
you
28.
basically said it from memory, but now that you have a computer in front of you, you can probably
Yeah, I've got the ability to Google, so I might as well properly quote it.
right.
And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose.
Okay. Wasn't there more to that?
Well, I added a little bit of a paraphrase just to make it sound more personal.
Okay.
It was a personal thought, but the basis of the thought process.
Yeah. So she has a random person over at her house that kind of likes burnt steak, and she accidentally burns a steak. And then you go, wow, this is really good steak because God is working through her.
Yeah.
For
Exactly.
you that loves God also.
Well, yeah, like that's definitely one perspective, but it's like
Yeah.
in a variety of other perspectives, like for a whole other host of reasons, God could have allowed her to burn the steak. Like, let's say that there was an especially persistent, like, little parasite or bacteria, and by accidentally burning the steak, she accidentally, like, through Romans 8:28, like, God, like, protected us from the parasite by her accidentally burning the steak. Like, there's tons of ways to see it.
Right. That's interesting. So who was that guy that you were talking to?
I was talking to Purely Living Man, and he introduced us to Sam last week or the week before, and like that's why I was such a big fan of him. And then
That's what he actually said at my house. That was more closely what he actually said.
all things work together for the good of those who love God. Yeah, that's how I paraphrased it. Good call, trainer.
Yeah, and then my wife is still today. She commented, "Yeah, I like how he said that thing. Like, I don't even remember it." And, and I'm like, "Yeah, I know. He's just like crazy." Because I was saying that I was talking to you the other night, and we're talking about certain things, and also I bring up certain things that my wife has questions about with the Bible, that like, and I think I'm like a little knowledgeable, but then I'm like, no, like JapJap knows what the hell he's talking about, and then I'll tell her, and she's like, oh, that makes more sense. I'm like, doesn't it?
Well, like, dude, to be fair, the only reason why I know any of this is because, like, I'm a crazy, like, Bible nerd. Like, so every single time I go to, or not every single time, but almost every single time I go to bed, I start my, like, go to bed ritual by go to my Bible app, find whatever, like, Bible, like, book I want to start listening to, and I hit play. And then, so I go to bed listening to the Bible, and then I wake up, and the Bible is still playing. And so even when I'm a lazy piece of shit, at the very least, I'm still listening to the Bible playing. And then, like, you add that on, like, how much I've been brainwashed by, like, churchians and Bible stuff. Like, I've been, like, reading the Bible my whole life.
Yeah.
And so it's like how Owen Benjamin, like, we all are, like, in awe of how insanely skilled Owen Benjamin is with the Bible, or not with the Bible, with the piano. Bajo, welcome, brother man. Like, it, hands down, Owen Benjamin is one of the most skilled pianists I've ever seen in my entire life. And that's because his entire life, in one way or another, he's been practicing the piano. And
Right.
I'm not comparing my Bible knowledge to his piano skill, just in a similar but probably lesser way, because I didn't spend 5 hours when I was 4 reading the Bible, but he spent 5 hours, according to his what he said, his account. When he was 4, he would spend like 5 hours playing the piano. So yeah, his piano skills are vastly superior to my Bible skills. That being said, in a similar manner, like I've been doing the Bible my whole life, so yeah, I know a little bit about it.
Right. Yeah, when I was a kid, I read the Bible through twice. Took a lot,
Right.
and I was very Christian, like super, like, oh, like more than my family like was forcing me to be. And
Mm-hmm.
and I think even sometimes I think they're like, oh, he's getting radicalized. And then it became the teenage years where I rebelled and was like, I'm not a Christian. Oh, it's all bullshit. But I still had that memory of like everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then about maybe 2 years ago, I started doing the same thing where I would fall asleep to the Bible being read on YouTube. So I'd just
Right.
put on a book, stay there as long as I could, listening, and then I would fall asleep and I would wake up and then hear a verse or something. And I'm like, oh, that's some God gravy right there.
Exactly.
And then, you know, we weren't serious about these. What is that?
Bajo Bear, you pretend to be serious about being a photographer, and in less than 24 hours, both me and Nick made better videos than your little special fucking equipment. So Nick, so when when I saw that, so guys, basically Bajo Bear just
Can you
sent
share?
on
Can you
me
share?
and Nick.
Can you
What's
share
up?
those videos? No, you can't share on with two people.
Yeah, we can't share it. That's why I'm explaining it.
And
So like Bajo Bear in a private chat with me and Nick sent like this little like bragging video, like guys, look at my new photography thing. And then Nick basically it was an autonomous like camera device so that Bajo could walk around the room and it still be filmed. Pretty fucking cool. And then Nick immediately replied with a comical thing, and he had his wife Laura like pretending to be that, and then he made a whole joke of it. It was hilarious. And like when I was first exposed to those series of messages, I didn't understand it, like that he actually bought a like special photography thing. I thought Bajo started the joke and Nick continued it. And so then when I saw Bajo's responses, because what I ended up doing is so the whole thing was it was like Bajo thought it was super cool because he could walk like to different sides of the room and the camera would track him.
it tracks your
And so
face. So the
this is one of those little push-up things that spins. And so like Nick like started the joke by having his wife Laura like film him so he could do it. And then
I'm
me
like,
not knowing
I got a better toy than you, Bajo. I have a wife basically that will follow me around with with the thing. And
yeah,
then,
but like so I got that you were making like you were like taking his toy doing a one up, but at the time I didn't know he actually bought something. And so I was like, "Oh, well if Nick just did a one up to Bajo, I've got to do a one up to Nick. He's got someone to help him, so I've got to do the same thing without someone to help me." So I took this little like push up swivelly thing and I duct taped my phone to it and I took my axe so that I could manipulate it and like kind of reproduce the same thing. And then turns out that when Bajo replied, he I
dude,
guess exposed that like, he was actually using like a real like camera device, and that's when I learned that Nick was making fun of him, and that's when I learned how funny my joke was. And like I was dying, dude. Nick, for a good like minute and a half,
me
I
too.
was bawling tears
Yeah,
when I learned how funny that joke was.
yeah. When everything came together, it was I was dying, and I even sent it to my friends, and they're like, I don't get what's going on. Like
Yes,
and then Bajo's reply today was like,
dude, that made the whole thing.
yeah, that, and I'm trying to figure out how to do Bajo's video, his latest one, uh, to spoof that, but I don't know how yet. And I just
Oh,
want,
so he replied after my X video?
oh, you haven't seen that?
No, oh, dude.
Oh man,
We will find a way to spoof it and make Bajo look silly and laugh all the more.
and then we can just all three of us just spoof the same videos that we send, and it's just an endless cycle, dude.
Well, so it's like Bajo's gonna keep getting the most high tech like photography equipment, and
He's
you and
like,
me are
all
just
right,
gonna do
guys,
the same thing.
and he's like pushing a button. There's like a fucking balloon coming in.
Oh my goodness.
Uh,
Bajo, you have inadvertently started like one of the funniest joke lines I've ever been exposed to.
and everyone, at least not too many people have left, but like we're totally talking about inside jokes right now that no one knows.
Yeah.
It's like the you had to be there kind of thing.
And none of you guys are in a little inner like special boy chat, so you guys have no idea what we're talking
The
about.
three tears.
Well, it's funny because even before I saw the name of the chat, the three Bearsketeers, I was like, we should probably call ourselves that. And then I got on the chat, I was like, no fucking way.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah.
That's funny. I'll end up being on the set of the IS, the International Space. What's the S?
Out there, get all the green screens you want.
Yeah.
Ian Nick's natural creative awesomeness will overcome all of your technological advantages you pretend to have.
No, he's got. What's the ISS, International Space
International Space Station.
Station? All right, jeez. I just disregarded from my mind so much that I just forgot what the hell it's called.
Yeah, dude, happens to me all the time. Like, I was trying to remember the Owen Benjamin song. What is it? Oh shit! Please let me. I saved it. First Day of My Life. Like, you know that whole beautiful montage, like with
Yeah.
Amy, like and the baby. Like,
Yeah.
I was trying to remember that, and I was like, brain overload. Where's this knowledge? I
Right.
just couldn't fucking find it, and it took me like 5 minutes to figure it out.
International Squirt Station.
Yeah, it's a much better name, Bajo.
Hey, so I wrote down notes when you were talking to that guy, like literal notes. I wanted to talk.
Oh hell yeah, dude! What you got?
So when you said, because I've talked to my friends about lying before, and we've had like hour-long conversations about like what constitutes a lie. Like if you don't tell somebody something, is that a lie? Like if you
Lie of
withhold,
omission. Yes,
like if you withhold information, a lie of admission, right?
correct.
But then I really liked, which I never thought of. You said that. What about babies? Because like one of the first signs of an intelligent human is they lie earlier in life. Have you ever heard about that? Like
Yes.
they can hide something, so they think that your reality is here, and if they hide it, then it's disregarded from your reality, which is a lie, right? Because it
Well,
still exists.
from our perspective, yes, but from the baby's perspective, they have no like basis of morality. They're just like, oh,
Right.
from my previous experience, when I did something like this, and my like something that my parent told me not to, I got in trouble and they spanked me or like talked to me disapproving me, and that hurt my feelings. So even though I don't know that's like wrong, I know that's painful. So I want to avoid that. And so that's why I was asking about babies, is because until you get until to that point of maturity where the young individual understands what morality is, they're just trying to avoid paid consequences. They don't even know what morality is.
Right. So that was a very interesting point where, so if that baby died, let's say, or after they lied, they're just a baby in sin now. Like, is lying that much, like, is there different forms of lying, different levels? Or
Well, so where he was coming
that guy was saying never lie ever. But what
from,
about
yeah, so where he was coming from is the concept of God is holy, and a single sin makes the person who sins unholy. And so due to just how God works, like unholy and holy, they cannot like jive together. So that's why one of the many reasons why Jesus Christ came down, did his thing, died on behalf of us, because he took all of our unholiness upon himself and then purified us. And like, so whenever God sees us, he looks at us, but he sees us through the lens of the sacrifice of Jesus. So he sees the holiness of Jesus as opposed to the unholiness of the specific man.
But he was also saying that it seemed like he was kind of saying that even in the womb we're liars or something, like a
Yeah,
Catholic
so
sin.
technically what he was saying is correct. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 9 says that every single man's heart is so deceived and wicked, not even the own man can understand what it is. That being said, that has nothing to do with an innocent baby. And that was what I was saying earlier, is yes, a baby may lie, but if a baby doesn't understand what morality is, doesn't even understand what a lie is, then you can't say that that baby is lying. And so that's why I brought up the concept of babies, is because I wholeheartedly believe that until you have the understanding of what sin is, like, I think that you're innocent. And that if you die in that time of innocence, that you automatically go to heaven. I don't have a biblical basis of that. I just, like, you know what? God is all loving, and just like the way that, like, everything else I know about God, if he allows you to be created in this life, and just so happens, according to God's plan, you die before you even understand what morality is, according to the loving God that I know, he's going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
I agree. Okay. Also, some people in the chat, I think Viking, forgot his name.
Viking Polar Gorilla.
Yes. I thought I had a good memory, man. Jeez. He said I would lie to save a life or save lives. So, like, if there was a gunman going, where are all the children hidden? Or where are all the, whatever hidden? And you lie to him to save lives, is that, like, what do you think about that?
Well, so in like one of those kind of situations, if you're the only adult and you are aware of, and there's a gunman
Okay, so
situation.
let's not use children. Let's
All
say,
right.
there's a bunch of women in your village being hid in the granary, and a large group of marauding Mongols come in and are like, where are the women? And you're like, in the
Nope. You don't even answer, because as a man of the village,
just don't say
you're
anything.
as a man of the village, your obligation is to protect the rest of the people in your village, which includes the women and children. And so, if you can get away with saying nothing and still preserve your life, great. But when push comes to shove, if they're torturing you, like, if anyone has any experience with torture, like, surprise, torture doesn't actually get the best, like, factual results, like, statistically speaking.
Right.
So yeah, if you're being tortured and you want the torture to stop, and you fucking lie and say, oh, they're not in the granary, like, they're in the fucking somewhere else.
They're in the quarry, and then they
Yeah,
get
stuff like that. Like, obviously, A, lying is never good, and B, once they search the quarry, they're going to very quickly find out that you were lying and then punish you for it. So it's just kind of like a short-term reprieve. So, like, yeah, even in that case, never fucking lie. It's not a good idea, because then you're just going to get tortured more when they figured out you just lied.
Well, it kind of brings the thought to me too of like Daniel in the lion's den kind of thing, where it's like, like, do I lie to save a little bit of time, maybe, but I just went against my morality of lying, or do I trust in God that, like, if I don't say anything and they kill me, I died morally, and then I trust in God after the fact that they won't find them in the granary.
Yeah, you're entirely correct. And when you gave me that very specific scenario, initially I was trying to argue, like, oh, maybe there's a way you can lie. And then like, as I talked it out, I was like, oh no, there's no way you can lie. So you're right. Like, you
Like,
don't fucking lie. You don't say anything.
why?
And if you die protecting the women in the granary by not saying shit, then in doing so is trusting the Lord that he, according to his plan,
Will
he
protect
will protect the women.
in the granary. Some gravy right there.
Yeah, dude, for real.
I think that like the concept of all the 10 like, well, I wouldn't say that because I haven't really thought about them intensely individually, but I think that there's a lot of conversation that could be around lying. I don't know. That's it. Like,
Well, yeah,
there's so
I
many.
definitely concur because within any culture you speak of throughout history, like one of like with America specifically, one of our big sin patterns is like jealousy and like coveting and shit like that. And like other cultures have other specific like major sin patterns. But throughout Bear in the Hood, welcome, welcome. But throughout all of history,
Good.
throughout all of culture, lying is something that every single culture has. And every single individual is willing to do, or at least, no, not willing. Every single individual is tempted to do given the proper circumstances.
Right.
And then,
Seems
yeah.
like it's like the less of or the least of all sins. Like to most people, I think, like
Well,
people,
the term white lie, dude,
right?
yeah, you're on point.
Yeah, like it seems like don't do all these things; they're really bad. But lying, sometimes you got to do it, and like that's where the gravy is for me. It's like, well, is there any time to lie? Like it doesn't seem like there is if you logically think it through. Cause then, like we said, like, so if you like, and this is a life or death situation, but even if you lie in that situation to save a life, now you're sinning against God's plan for you and everything around you. So now you're not trusting God's plan, which is like an unwritten, no, not unwritten, but a
Well, yeah, like
different
so,
kind of
but
sin.
even more basic, like I understand what you're saying. Even more basic than that, like in the scenario you gave me, when there's a bunch of like the whole village's worth of women are hiding in the granary, and you are the only man left, and you're being tortured. Where are the women? If you tell them, your torturers, that the women are in the quarry, like, oh, like my intention is to save the women.
Right.
No, like that's just a lie you're telling yourself. You're trying to end the pain by distracting your torturers, which the logical conclusion of what you're doing you haven't thought of because you're in so much pain. They're then going to go check the quarry, find out that the women are not there, and come back and punish you even more for the lies. So, logically speaking, from the beginning, either A, shut the fuck up, or B, just be a man and take the pain and like not tell them anywhere. Because if you give them a false location, you're only going to suffer more. So it's like torture is like the short version of like God's like karmic plan.
Yeah. You like this torture now? Wait till the end.
Yep.
On the flip side of that too, like when they say like I love you so much that I'll tell you the truth even if it hurts you.
Dude, that's such a gravel.
What do you mean? Well, go ahead. Maybe I'm grabble on that. Like
So,
okay, so well, let me just say like an example of like what I think that.
all right.
So like if you tell like a gay dude, hey, you should stop being gay and stop practicing homosexuality. It's not that I hate you. I don't like the sin. And also, I love you. And I know that hurts your feelings, but I love you so much that I think that you would be better off if you stopped doing that. Right? So, like, it's like, I love you, so I tell you the truth, like a tough love kind of thing. So I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
hurt. Like,
with 15 seconds left, you're about to have priority for the next stream. But with 15, 12, 10 seconds, 11 seconds left, let's just address this on the next stream. I can't consolidate in less than 10 seconds.
okay.
Talk to you, brother.